Welcome back, Year 3. Today is chapter 13 called The Big Day Arrives. The sun was shining brightly on the morning of the big day, but the ground was still white with snow and the air was very cold. Outside the gates of Wonka's factory, enormous crowds of people had gathered to watch the 5 lucky ticket holders going in. The excitement was tremendous. It was just before 10 o'clock. The crowds were pushing and shouting, and policemen with arms linked were trying to hold them back from the gates. Right beside the gates, in a small group that was carefully shielded from the crowds by police, stood the 5 famous children, together with their grown-ups who had come with them. The tall, bony figure of Grandpa Joe could be seen standing quietly among them, and beside them, holding tightly onto his hand, was little Charlie Bucket himself. All the children except Charlie had both their mothers and fathers with them, and it was a good thing that he had, otherwise the whole party might have got out of hand. They were so eager to get going that their parents were having to hold them back by force, to prevent them from climbing over the gates. "Be patient," cried the fathers. "Be still. It's not time yet. It's not 10 o'clock. Behind him, Charlie Bucket could hear the shouts of people in the crowd as they pushed him forward to get a glimpse of the famous children. "There's Violet Beauregarde," he heard someone shouting. "That's her, all right. I can remember her face from the newspapers." "And you know what?" somebody else shouted back. "She's still chewing that dreadful piece of old gum she's had for 3 months. You look at her jaws, they're still working on it." "Who's that big fat boy?" "That's Augustus Gloop." "So it is. Enormous, isn't he?" "Fantastic." "Who's the kid with the picture of the Lone Ranger stenciled onto his wind cheater?" "That's Mike TV. He's the TV fanatic. He must be going crazy. Look at all those toy pistols he's got hanging over him." "The one I want to see is Veruca Salt," shouted another voice in the crowd. "She's the girl whose father bought up 500,000 chocolate bars and then made the workers of his peanut factory unwrap every single one of them until he found a golden ticket. He gives her anything she wants, absolutely anything. She only has to start screaming for it and she gets it. Dreadful, isn't it? Shocking, I call it." "What do you think? Which one do you think is her?" "That one, over there on the left, the little girl in the silver mink coat." "Which one's Charlie Bucket?" "Charlie Bucket? Oh, he must be that skinny little shrimp standing behind the old fellow there who looks just like a skeleton. Very close to us, just there. See him?" "Why hasn't he got a coat on in this cold weather?" "Don't ask me. Maybe he can't afford to buy one." "Goodness me, he must be freezing." Charlie, standing only a few paces away from the speaker, gave Grandpa Joe's hand a squeeze, and the old man looked down at Charlie and smiled. Somewhere in the distance, a church clock began striking 10. Very slowly, with a loud creaking of rusty hinges, the great iron gates of the factory began to swing open. The crowd became suddenly silent. The children stopped jumping about. All eyes were fixed upon the gates. "There he is!" somebody shouted. "That's him!" And so it was. Who do we think it might be? That was the end of chapter 13. So, question number 1. Why was Charlie different to the other winners? Question number 2. What did their parents have to stop the children doing? Number 3. What does the children's impatience tell us about them? Question 4. Why do you think someone in the crowd wants to see Veruca? Question 5. Why would the gate's hinges be rusty and why would they creak open? Number 6. What happened as the gates opened? Number 7. Why did everybody stop and stay silent when the gates opened? And number 8. How would you feel now as a ticket winner? So imagine you're a ticket winner, you're stood at the gates, they're opening, somebody's come out to the front. How would you feel at that moment as a ticket winner just before you enter the factory? Okay, so that's chapter 13. You can check back for the next video for the next chapter. Bye.